I think it's fair to say that the Lumix S9 was very misunderstood when it was first announced, with a few features missing that caused quite a bit of a stir. But now, along with a brand new 18 to 40mm lens and a firmware update, a lot of these problems have been fixed. Lumix listened to what people were saying about the camera, and now this is pretty much the perfect small, full frame camera for things like YouTube, vlogging, travel and everyday use. One of the biggest changes that was brought around with the new firmware update on the S9 is the removal entirely of the record limit. That is a massive change because it was originally limited to just 15 minutes in most recording formats and even 10 minutes in 6K. So to remove it entirely is no small thing, and all you need to do to turn off the record limit is to go into the menu and change the video record limit to off, and then you can record for as long as you want, and the only thing that is going to stop you from recording longer is the battery dying, filling your SD card, or potentially the camera overheating. So now that means that you can go and record for as long as you want and not have any issues with record limits. That is absolutely brilliant, and that is one of the main concerns with the S9 when it originally came out. Another thing that was brought in with the latest firmware update was the introduction of frame markers, which is really handy if, for example, you are shooting in 6K open gate so that you can get the full height and width of the sensor, and you know that you are going to be cropping it for a landscape long form YouTube video, for example, and a YouTube short or an Instagram reel. By having these frame markers on the screen, it means that you can line up your shots perfectly so that when you do come to crop your images, you know you're not cutting out any important information that you need in that shot because you can line it all up perfectly within those frame markers. You can add up to 3 of them on the monitor, move them around, change them up as you wish, and choose from different aspect ratios. And as well as all of that, there was also more updates to the phase detect autofocus system, which keeps the S9 in line with the likes of the G9 II, S5 II and S5 IIX and the GH7, and these all now have incredible phase detect autofocus system. It just goes to show how committed Lumix are to listening to what people have to say and then making changes to not only their current cameras and future releases, but instead of just releasing a new camera with those new features, they're making those changes to their current cameras and older cameras as well. And Lumix have got a very strong track record of keeping their cameras up to date with new firmware updates over time. So I wouldn't be surprised if that over the next 2 or 3 years we continue to see even more firmware updates to the likes of the S9 and the S5 II, G9 II and all of those, to keep these cameras performing at their best and better over a long period of time before we see the likes of a new S9 Mark II in the next 2 or 3 years, if that happens. I'm not sure. Hopefully it does. Now, the lens, the new 18 to 40mm zoom lens, which at the time of filming this is the smallest and lightest full frame zoom lens in the world. And it is genuinely tiny as well, and very, very light, which I suppose the name kind of says that. It shouldn't be a surprise really, should it? Now, it should be said that you can't use it like this when it is at its smallest. There is a little white dot on the front of it, and that is pretty much it packed away in travel mode, I guess. To use it, you need to zoom it out to 18mm, which is just about there, and you can see that the lens pops out from the body of the lens. And as you zoom in from 18 to 40mm, the lens barely changes size at all. You can see it just moving slightly. So even zoomed out and in, out, in, it is still very small, but then when you pack it away to travel and store on the S9, it is very small. And I've seen people compare it to the likes of the new Leica Q3 43. It's very similar in size to that. It's not dissimilar in size to the Fujifilm X100s, but even when you've got the lens opened up so that you can use it like that, it's still small. It's not very big at all, and it is the perfect size for the S9. This is what the Lumix S9 was missing when it was announced a few months ago. Even though we knew of this lens, if the S9 came with this lens as standard instead of This little thing that did not go down very well at all, this is the 26mm pancake lens. I think people would have actually seen the S9 for what it actually is. And this just makes me want to pick it up because it is so small and light. It makes me just want to go and take photos and document my life and vlog. I've not vlogged in years. Maybe I should start. But 18mm is wide enough to vlog just about, and 40mm is magnification wise pretty much exactly what the human eye sees, and it is actually my favorite focal length for photography. So it's a really versatile focal length, and that's one of my favorite things about it. But then you add on the hybrid zoom feature that the S9 gives you as well, and that turns this lens into an 18 to 62mm lens, which pretty much matches the original Lumix kit lens, the 20 to 60. And with using hybrid zoom, you're not missing out on any image quality while you're shooting in 4K or 6K either. And that makes this lens really handy to use in so many different situations, especially while you're traveling, just because of the size of it and the versatility of it. Now, I'm not gonna get into all of the specs and everything like that because I'm not particularly interested in specs. If a lens does what I want it to do, that is great. And the images that I have got from this are really nice. I've used it to capture a little bit of footage, I've taken a few photos with it, and they look great. Now, obviously, it's not going to be as sharp as more expensive lenses like the Sigma 24 to 70 f2.8 that I'm using right now to film this, but as a vlogging, travel, everyday lens, you really cannot go wrong with this. So you might notice a little bit of softness in the corners of your images while you are using this lens if you are a pixel peeper and you're looking very, very closely. And there is a fair bit of focus breathing to be aware of if you're using this lens for video. But again, this isn't a lens that you're going to be using on high-end video projects. This is just an everyday travel lens, document, family life, all of that, vlogging, and for that, it really is perfect. And I probably prefer that for that sort of thing over the original kit lens, the 20 to 60. I'd probably use this for more of the documenting stuff than this. It's just a great little lens to have available to you for everyday use and things like that. So let me know your thoughts on the lens and the recent firmware updates on the S9 in the comments down below. Come and say hello. If you like what you see on the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you want to know more about the Lumix S9, I recommend you watch this video here, and I shall see you there. Need a candle. I should just put a big jar of sweets there. Big jar of sweets. And it means I can eat the sweets. I'll get on with recording the video in a minute. I've been at these for about a week now, and I'm only just halfway down. I'm gonna have no teeth left.